And we are recording. Hi. I wanted to talk about AI in computer languages. There's a lot going around about AI here lately, and I don't think for the most part that people understand what it actually is. And you may hear a voice in the background behind the camera. Uh, my husband is not a disembodied spirit. He is actually the love of my life. So, Mr. Fogelman, you want to say hi?
I don't know.
Okay, that's good enough. Hopefully you heard that. Um, Most people don't understand how computers work. So if you're my age or older, you may have a clue, right? Um, I really got frustrated about 20 years ago whenever a big thing was going around on computer coding. And I'm like, I kind of looked at it. One of my homeschool friends was really excited about it. And I kind of looked at it and I'm like, what? So, um, I went to high school my freshman year in Los Alamos, New Mexico, which is a pretty snazzy public school. And they had several computer classes available. And one was basic, one was DOS, one was Pascal. Can you think of another one?
Oh, it's Cobalt or was.
COBOL. I don't remember if that one was available or not. But anyway, there were several, and these were separate classes available for separate credits at the school. Okay. It was different computer language courses you could take in high school. Okay. I was really excited about that, but we ended up moving. My freshman year, I ended up taking art courses. I took a fine arts course and a commercial design course. It was pretty amazing to have those available, especially coming from Hicksville. Okay. From there, we ended up moving. My sophomore year was in Dripping Springs, Texas, right outside of Austin, which again was another fairly nice school. And I took basic. We spent the whole semester learning how to program one program in basic. And since my name starts DAWN, I had this sunrise come up and then it spelled dawn across it. It took me, a semester to make the program where, and I think there was some noise, it wasn't music because I'm not super musically inclined, but there was some kind of a tune that went with it, and then the rising of the sun and the different colors and stuff. You had to program every single little piece of that, right? So look over here on Google, and people are worried about AI. Well, every time you type something into Google, you're using AI. Okay. It is programmed to do what it does, and it basically learns from the questions and the information that people enter in and what it pulls off the websites. Okay, so how many PC languages are there here? And it says there are over 300 programming languages, but you don't need to know them all. Of course not. um it'd be nice if I knew more, like actual speaking languages. But I going through here, what are the 5 main coding languages? So people think of JavaScript, Python, Go, never heard of that. Java, didn't know there was a difference between Java and JavaScript. PHP, okay, it's not listing like HTML, so I don't know if that's something completely different. If we go there, what will it say? Uh, Go away, you dumb thing. I don't want to level up. Leave me alone. Okay, try to get my mug out of the road. Let's see, what is a programming language? Blah, blah, blah. Are you going to give Python, Perl, Bash? Those don't sound familiar. Let's see, high level, low level, compiled, interpreted. Okay, just going through here. HTML is listed in those. So yeah, the HTML is one that I'm familiar with. Okay, so I learned basic in high school. And then I married Mr. Fogelman behind the camera here, and he was using DOS, right?
So,
Both DOS and basic. Okay. And programming his own invoicing software. Okay. So at this time, there was no Windows or Apple. I mean, Apple had a computer, right?
yeah,
But yeah, but it was different. I mean, none of us took it seriously. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. But there was Tandy, yeah, which was much better than either one of them. So we could go into detail there. We have people coming down the stairs because I'm trying to do this before it gets hot in the morning. And I am under the stairs. Yes, I am the under the stair trail. So yeah, we you had Tandy computers, right, Paul?
yeah, Radio Shack.
At that point, yeah. Radio Shack, Tandy had some pretty nice for the day computers. And they kind of wrote their own little operating system, which was written in a program language, right? And the operating system is kind of what you work off of. And you were able to go behind the operating system and go ahead and do your own tweaks and stuff basically to it if you knew what you were doing, right? So today we have like Windows docs or Windows, Apple, the Mac thing, Firefox. I know there's one or two other operating systems.
Well, Firefox is more.
Is that not an operating system?
Not necessarily. It's more.
What's the other operating system then?
I
thought that was. See, you can tell I really don't know what
well,
I'm
I really
about.
don't because I haven't studied it. I don't. Yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
It's
Okay,
something
so
that I've kind of lost interest in.
Yeah, because it's so convoluted today, right? Yeah. So we don't do really the programming. Whenever the internet came along in the early 90s out here, of course, I wanted to keep up with computer stuff as much as possible. So I've had a website ever since it was available, some kind of a website. So HTML was something that I had to learn. So that was a language very similar in the way it works to like basic. You just had to learn the ins and outs of the language, right? So whenever they were teaching the children coding with these games and applications, it was like you had a little visual block that you would put these little blocks together to make it do something. And I'm just like, what? Because I came from an actual background where Paul actually had some things that he programmed in music because his mother was kind of a musician. So they would program where you turn on the computer and it would do like Jesus Loves Me or something. And anyway, there were a lot of fun things that we could do with them at this time. Of course, we didn't have like all of the information available that we have today. He did have one of the things that you probably see me, oh, come on, Zoom, that you see me use a lot is Bible Gateway. And I really like Bible Gateway. Well, when we first got married, Paul had a Bible software. It was it on hard floppies or floppy floppies?
It was on a well,
Was it on hard floppies or floppy floppies?
No, this came out in the more five, and then I think it did go over to the 3.5 on the hard floppies.
Okay, so
But
it was.
I think I got it actually. Oh man, when did I get this?
He already had it whenever I came along. Of course, Paul has, he's older than dirt, guys. So he has the 10 days older than dirt. He corrected me. We still have some of the cards that had the little holes in them, for the bigger. Yeah. So yeah, so he has more experience than I do. So yes, he had a Bible software. And when we were engaged, he printed out, he had one of the first stop matrix printers in the area, and he printed out word searches on marriage, wife, husband, things like that, so that we kind of there wasn't like a premarital counseling by the church at that point in time, so we just looked things up ourselves. And so we went through that to just kind of see what the Lord expected of us, right? And especially since I hadn't been raised in the church and didn't know my Bible, that was a good thing for us to kind of go through. So today, and I've gone through several different softwares since then, because I do like to look up things according to word search. And Bible Gateway is a really easy one that I use for that. So again, you've got languages. Sorry, I've got a little scratchy throat this morning. You've got the languages for the coding of the computers, and then you have these, what everybody's calling apps now, applications, programs, okay, that you use. The annoying thing is, at this point, it's hard to buy just like a CD program. Everybody wants you to download it, use it online with your internet service, or you know and or have a subscription. And which, back then we just bought the program and you owned it and you used it forever, right? Until everything upgraded to the point that it was out of date and you couldn't use it anymore. And back then it took a while. So, a lot of people use Canva for design software now. I can't stand Canva. I dislike it, partly because the programs that I used before, there was Printmaster and Print Shop. I hated Print Shop and I loved Printmaster, and I used it until I couldn't anymore. So the design program that I use is more like Printmaster than Print Shop, and Canva just annoys me. So it's just, it's a thought process with this. So as we're thinking about AI, we need to realize that we're using it constantly. I was looking at Bible genealogies this morning, and of course I'm using Google. There's several different, search engines that you can use. They are basically something between a program and an AI. Because they're constantly grabbing data off of the internet. And so if you want to look up PDFs and you want to download a PDF, then there you go. Okay. So I'm doing a little bit of research on biblical timelines and biblical genealogies. And I'm just going through this and I'm thinking about some of the things that are happening and people getting upset about all of the AI stuff. And some people are saying, well, we need to teach the AI, the Bible or whatever. Well, the AI has the Bible available. So you can't teach it anything that it doesn't already have available. And demons, being the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, can inhabit things. Okay. And the internet, if we think that they can't be in the internet or computer programs and AI type of thing, yeah, they can. That doesn't mean that every single time you use Google, you're uh, engaging with a demon. Okay. So we need some balance here. These are, a computer is there's wiring and there's metal and plastic and all of these physical things that put it all together. And then there's the programming and the language and the software and the applications that make it work the way we want it to, or sometimes not the way we want it to, right? But it can be used as a tool. It's like a shovel can kill a person, right? If you whack a person hard enough with a shovel, you can kill them. Same way with a hammer. Did the shovel do it? No. The person that was handling the shovel, that was handling the tool, did it, right? Did the hammer do it? No. The person that was handling the hammer. Of course, that goes into a whole nother, realm of conversation, but we got smart people on here that are listening to me, so you guys know what I'm saying. It's the same thing with the computer. It's the people that are using this stuff, how you're using it. If you run into something, if you're specifically trying to bring out the demon in the computer, it's going to come. Okay. If you're specifically looking for it and you're specifically asking questions that you're trying to bring up a demon, you're going to run into one.
Welcome to D-Wave.
You're toying with things you probably shouldn't. Okay. And I posted on TikTok, and I don't know where else here recently, that someone had said that we should be teaching the AI. Well, if there's demons involved and they are pre-flood, then what makes you think that you could teach a several thousand-year-old entity anything? No, you're not going to teach them anything. Spiritually, they've already made up their mind where they're at, basically. And otherwise, they've been wandering the earth for the last several thousand years. You're not teaching them a thing. So toying with that is not safe on a spiritual level and may not be safe on a physical level in some ways. So yeah, I understand how some people are asking fun questions to try to come up with different things. And yes, the demons know the shape of the earth and, various things like that. So yeah, they know. Asking them, you need to make up your own mind. You don't need to ask them what the shape of the earth is. Of course they know. And the same way with the computer. In order for them, anybody, to be able to use like astronomy software and things like that, to be able to use it properly, those who are actually the actual program behind it has to be working properly, based on the correct cosmos. Okay. Otherwise, it won't work. They can't tell you when a solar eclipse is coming if they don't have the proper program in place based on the right things. What most people don't understand, science, computer science, as well as any other science, bases so much on assumptions. If this, then will this happen? And that's what science is supposed to be, is if I do this, will this happen? You're assuming this in the first place, a basis, okay? And there's so many assumptions in mathematics and science that you're assuming distances, you're assuming, and especially if you're talking about um, things back further in time, like carbon dating, for instance, you're assuming that all of the atmospheric conditions and everything else were exactly the same back then than what they are today. And that is a big assumption. That is a really big assumption. Oh, but we kind of know how much, blah, 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 blah. Baloney. You have no clue, especially if you don't have a biblical understanding of things. So I think Dr. Carl Baugh I reference him a lot. He's got a lot of great research. And while I, of course, don't agree with him on everything, I barely agree with myself on anything. I will stop screen share now. I barely agree with myself on anything. His science is very sound in the way he does it. And they do extensive papers, and you will be able to see where the assumptions are when they're made. Okay. Assuming that the atmosphere is this, then this is what you would expect the results to be of this particular experiment, right? So that's the way any of them should be. So I hope that this I don't know if I have accomplished anything. It was just something that is in my mind. If you have some other thoughts, definitely. I'm sure we've got some other computer people who probably know more than I do on things, and especially the newer stuff. Like Paul said, we've kind of lost interest. Uh, Even the HTML codes on my website, everything's kind of a plug and play thing now. It does kind of frustrate me, and I would give a caution here. The more you use conveniences of any sort, the more you lose. Okay. The more you use the AI, the more you lose of your own capacity here. So actually looking up things specifically, like the Bible verses and stuff, and pulling those up and actually digging into things, trying to find the history and stuff, that's good exercise, right? Washing clothes, I've washed clothes by hand. It's fine. It takes a little bit extra, but it's not huge. Hanging clothes on the clothesline. Who needs to go to the gym and work out if you're not using those conveniences, right? And if you're not paying for those conveniences, then you don't have the payments and things that you're making. Your money is more free. You don't have to chase that almighty dollar quite as hard, right? I have a washing machine and a dryer, okay? But in the summertime, as the heat rises out here, we do, well, anytime it's warm enough, pretty much, we hang things out on the line. So anyway, just kind of think about that before you start paying your, like gym membership and start using all the AI tools available online. Think about, what that's costing you. If it's costing you a lot of extra money, if it's costing you the exercise that you should be doing, then there are better ways. People weren't primitive when they were doing things naturally. They were getting better exercise, and they were healthier than we are, and a lot smarter. Okay. Obviously, the architecture that we see, and the clothing, the fabrics of the clothing from antiquity, we can't reproduce today. And I'm happy to see some of the younger people trying to make their own fabrics and trying to come up with that kind of quality. And that's wonderful. And doing that research to find out how it was actually done and then actually attempting to do it, that is awesome. And, if you think that people wore robes for 5,000 years, and then all of the sudden invented buttons and buckles, does that really make sense? And it's kind of the same way with computer programming and the AI and things. There have been stuff like this available for quite some time. We didn't just in the 1900s all of a sudden, oh wow, let's make all this neat stuff and invent all these neat things. No, the stuff was available before. Remember, as in the days of Noah. So, and there's nothing new under the sun, right? So if there's nothing new under the sun, and as we get closer to the end, we're getting closer to the as in the days of Noah, where this has all happened before. All of these tools, all of these things, maybe in a little different way, maybe in a different color or different, flavor of things, but probably even that was available, right? So everything we have today was available in Noah's time. And the flood didn't necessarily just wipe all of that out. People after that had some pretty nifty things. Okay. So we have pre-flood stuff that was just, gigantic, huge, amazing, awesome in our scheme. And then we have post-flood stuff that also is very intricate, detailed. These people had electricity, they had power, they had, central heat and air in a much more productive way than what we have. And so we don't need to think that, oh, this AI and computer stuff, this is all new, this is all, no, it's really not. As a matter of fact, these little pieces of trash that we've got, that we're working off of are little hunks of junk that don't last more than a few years at a time, right? Even the little handheld computerized device that we all carry around with us is really, it's handy. Don't get me wrong. I have one, right? But we did everything that we needed to do, and we did just fine without those. Our newer generation does not remember that. So they definitely need time without these. And if you've got younger children, don't give them one of these. Do not give them one of these until they're, our 16-year-old does, she actually has a device because she's an artist and she's on Instagram. But that device, she knows at any point in time, I can pick up and I can look at her messages and stuff and see what she's doing. And she's absolutely fine with that. And it's just an understanding that we have. And she will not actually have her own phone number until after she graduates. And that's just something that we've decided with our children, that they really don't get their own devices until after they graduate. We do have some computer games and things that we do, but not a lot. And spending time outside, working with the animals, driving the tractor, doing various things like that. That's the stuff that's really important. Handicrafts, cooking together and doing things together. That's more important, right? So, keep the AI stuff all in perspective. It's not taking over the world. It's not, yeah, there's going to be some people that are these people who think that they're inviting demons and they're going to be able to control them are very, very deceived. If you invite the demons in, you are not going to control them. They are going to control you. They're going to torment you. It's not a pretty sight. So don't toy with it. Use the tools as needed, but keep them in perspective. So I think that's all I've got here. Definitely leave some comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking on things. I'm working on some genealogy and some timeline stuff. It's been coming up in our tin hat behind the scenes visits here lately. And I'm hoping that we get to record another tin hat talk here pretty soon. We've been talking about dragons, but we've also got some other things that we've been talking about. And it's like, we just can't stay on one topic. It's too exciting. We just got too many things that are just too interesting. So I have no idea what we're going to talk about with the next one. If you have some suggestions and some things that you're concerned or worried or interested in, please leave them in the comments and we'll take that into consideration as well. So anyway, if you haven't subscribed to the magazine, pop on over to prairie-trail.com. I've got two things that you can subscribe to. The magazine does cost, it's $5 an issue, $20 a year, which seems to be about the norm for like a homesteading type magazine. And then a little bit down below that is the free newsletter, and you're very welcome to join on to the free newsletter, and it keeps you up to date on everything that's going on. So just pop on over, visit me. I would really appreciate it. And of course, share, subscribe, all, that good stuff too. And I appreciate y'all, and we will talk to you later.